कि जी बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। मैं अपना आज का सेशन स्टार्ट करने लगा हूँ और हमने लास्ट क्लास में इलास्टिसिटी ऑफ सप्लाई की बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग और इसके अलावा हमने इम्पैक्ट ऑफ प्राइस फैक्टर्स ऑन सप्लाई इलास्टिसिटी पर डिस्कस किया। अच्छा, उस केस के अंदर हमने प्राइस इलास्टिसिटी ऑफ सप्लाई में एग्जाम्पल के साथ अंडरस्टैंडिंग डेवलप की कि व्हाट इज़ प्राइस इलास्टिसिटी ऑफ सप्लाई। सो आज के हम इस सेशन के अंदर अंडरस्टैंडिंग डेवलप करेंगे अबाउट क्रॉस प्राइस इलास्टिसिटी ऑफ सप्लाई और इलास्टिसिटी ऑफ सप्लाई विद रिस्पेक्ट टू प्राइस ऑफ रिलेटेड गुड। तो क्रॉस प्राइस से अंडरस्टैंडिंग हमारी बेसिकली ये है कि हम अगर फॉर इंस्टेंस प्रोडक्ट 1 की क्वांटिटी सप्लाई की बात कर रहे हों तो डेफिनेटली जब क्रॉस प्राइस की बात करेंगे तो जिस प्रोडक्ट की सप्लाई की बात हो रही है प्राइस किसी ऑल्टरनेट प्रोडक्ट की होगी, किसी और दूसरी प्रोडक्ट की होगी। जैसा कि हमने क्रॉस प्राइस इलास्टिसिटी ऑफ डिमांड के अंदर अंडरस्टैंडिंग डेवलप की कि पेप्सी की प्राइस के चेंज होने से कोक की डिमांड पर क्या इम्पैक्ट आता है, इसी तरह आज उसी पेप्सी की प्राइस के चेंज होने से कोक की सप्लाई पर इम्पैक्ट देखेंगे कि वो क्या आता है। ठीक है जी। तो आज का कॉन्सेप्ट बेसिकली ऑल्टरनेट प्रोडक्ट की प्राइस का इम्पैक्ट हम क्वांटिटी सप्लाई पर चेक करने लगे हैं और देखने लगे हैं कि इस सूरत में इलास्टिसिटी ऑफ सप्लाई किस तरह रिस्पॉन्ड करेगी। सो द टॉपिक इज इन फॉर टुडेज लेक्चर is that cross price elasticity of supply or elasticity of supply with respect to price of related good. In the beginning, I would like to discuss its definition. The definition starts from the ratio of percentage change in quantity supplied to the percentage change in price of a related product. So price of a related product means we are talking about price of Pepsi, right? And the quantity supply for a product that we are talking is the quantity supply of Coke, right? So let me read the definition again. The ratio of percentage change in response, which is quantity supplied at here, to the percentage change in action, and action is price of related good, right? So will be called as cross price elasticity of supply or elasticity of supply with respect to price of related good. So the formula of cross price elasticity of supply can be understood as, you could see here, let me highlight this for you. Cross price elasticity of supply equals elasticity of supply, within bracket we have price of related good, say it is price of Pepsi, equals percentage change in quantity supplied, right? So the percentage change in quantity supplied is basically your response divided by percentage change in price of related good, like price of Pepsi, which is your action, right? So percentage change in quantity supplied can be written as delta QS over QS, while we can represent percentage change in price of related good as delta PR over PR. So the fraction can be transformed in terms of division sign, right? So delta QS over QS divided by delta PR over PR. So what is PR? Price of related good, right? So we are representing price of related good by PR. Okay. Then in the next step, you could see that the first term delta QS over QS would remain as it is. Then the sign of division is converted into the sign of multiplication, right? And what happens when we convert the sign of division into sign of multiplication? The denominator in a fraction becomes numerator into new fraction, and the numerator in a fraction becomes denominator in a new fraction. So you could see that earlier we had delta PR over PR, and right before the delta PR over PR fraction, we have the sign of division. We have converted this division sign into sign of multiplication, and in the new fraction, the PR, which was earlier denominator, in this fraction it has become numerator, and divided by delta PR, which this is basically a denominator into this fraction, but in earlier fraction it was numerator. It happens only because we have converted the sign of division into sign of multiplication. This implies that delta QS over delta PR. What happens into this step? What we have done into this step, we have taken all the information which is into delta term into one fraction, right? So delta QS in one fraction divided by delta PR, right? And the term which is without uh, delta, so we have taken it into another fraction. So it becomes delta QS over delta PR multiplied by PR over QS. Or in simplified form, the formula should become elasticity of supply with respect to price of related good equals delta QS over delta PR multiplied by PR over QS. Here QS represents quantity supply, or delta represents change. So change in quantity supply divided by change in price of related good multiplied by price of related good divided by quantity supplied. So let's take an example to understand the concept, and then we will be interpreting the coefficient, whatever the value we can obtain after handling this particular example. So within this example, we are given 2 points, and at first point we are given price of Pepsi. It is price of related good, which is 10 initially. Okay, let me update this information. The price of Pepsi is, for example, 85 rupees, and then it has become 95 rupees, right? So when the price was 85 rupees for Pepsi, the supply for Coke was 300 units, right? So people in the market who were supplying uh, Coke, they were supplying 300 units of Coke into the market. And when the price of Pepsi has increased from 85 rupees to 95 rupees, then the quantity supply for Coke has decreased from 300 to 200 units, right? So why this happened? Why the people who were supplying Coke have basically reduced their supply for Coke? Why? The reason is, when investor feels incentive into Pepsi while its price has increased, investors or suppliers find incentive into Pepsi rather than in Coke. Therefore, they would switch towards Pepsi for gaining more incentives. That is why the number of suppliers from Coke industry would fall. Resultantly, the quantity supply for Coke will fall. Hence, price of Pepsi will have negative relation with the quantity supply for Coke. Therefore, we can conclude that if the goods are substitutes, then cross price elasticity of supply will be negative in this case, right? That is why within this example, we can identify an inverse relation between price of Pepsi and quantity supply for Coke, right? This is my understanding, what we have explained until now. Now, let me start handling this example with the help of a formula. As we are given, or as we know that the formula for cross price elasticity of supply is ES within bracket PR, like this is representative of cross price elasticity of supply, equals delta QS over delta PR multiplied by PR over QS. What is delta QS? It is the difference between the quantity supply of 2 points, quantity supply at point B minus quantity supply at point A. So at point B, we have 200 units, and at point A, we have 300 units supplied by the suppliers. So delta QS should become 200 minus 300 equals minus 100. So when you have 200 and you are subtracting 300 out of 200, the minus 1000 you would get as an answer. What about delta PR? Delta PR is the change into price of related good. The formula for it is that the price of related good at point B minus price of related good at point A, right? So price at point B, price of related good at point B is 85 rupees, and price of related good at point B is 95, and price of related good at point A is 85. So 95 minus 85 equals plus 10, right? So difference between the, the price of related good at 2 points is plus 10. By substituting the information, which information? Delta QS and delta PR into the formula, right? So formula is delta QS over delta PR multiplied by PR over QS. Into this formula, you could see a new point, which is A within bracket, right? You could see this point A, which is being selected into this formula. What is A? Into this fraction, we can see A is representing point A, right? So we are given information of price of related good and quantity supply of coke into 2 points, right? तो 2 पॉइंट्स की सूरत में हमें वैल्यूज या इंफॉर्मेशन गिवन है, और हमने इन दोनों पॉइंट्स में से एक वक्त में किसी एक पॉइंट पर इलास्टिसिटी कैलकुलेट करनी है, राइट? हमारे पास ये भी ऑप्शन है कि हम दोनों पॉइंट्स की कंबाइंड कैलकुलेट कर लें, लेकिन हम अपने फॉर्मूले को कम्प्लेक्स नहीं बनाएंगे, सिंपल फॉर्मूले के साथ कैलकुलेशन करेंगे. सो इस टाइम पर, इस पर्टिकुलर टाइम पर हम किसी एक पॉइंट पर इलास्टिसिटी कैलकुलेट करने जा रहे हैं. अगर तो हमें पॉइंट नॉमिनेट कर दिया जाए कि आप पॉइंट ए या बी पर फाइंड आउट करें, तो फिर हम जो पॉइंट हमें बता दिया जाएगा उस पर कैलकुलेशंस करेंगे. अगर हमें कोई पॉइंट ना बताया जाए तो उस सूरत में हम हमेशा इनिशियल पॉइंट को कंसिडर करते हैं अपनी कैलकुलेशंस को प्रोसीड करने के लिए. सो इनटू दिस गिवन केस, we are not told or we are not asked to find out elasticity of supply with respect to price of related good at this particular point. So when we are not asked, then we have a right to find out elasticity at the point whatever we find convenient. So whenever you are not asked, you should always consider the point number one, the initial point, right? So into this formula, the term which is without delta, the one which I have just highlighted, this term will, the information for price of related good will be taken from the initial point. Similarly, the information regarding quantity supply will be taken from the initial point. And what is the initial point? It is point A, the point from where we are starting up our discussion, right? So elasticity of supply with respect to price of related goods should be equals to delta QS. We have found the value of delta QS minus 100 and divided by delta PR. We have found the value of delta PR as plus 10. So we have just substituted the values of delta QS and delta PR into this fraction, the one which I've just highlighted. Then there comes a sign of multiplication. Then there comes PR, within bracket we have A. You can see my cursor. PR within bracket A, I've just replaced PR within bracket A with a 10, right? This 10 comes from, this is not 10 in fact, this is 85 actually. I've just updated the information. The price of related good at the given initial point is 85 rupees. Let me show you over here. This is the price of related good at initial point A. Okay. And the quantity supply at the initial point A is 300, right? So just look at this formula. I've just substituted the value of PR over here, which is 85, and the value of QS is 300, right? So the formula should becomes minus 100 divided by plus 10 multiply by 85 over 300, right? Okay, then minus 100 and divided by 10. The answer should be minus 10. 10 1 the 10 and 10 tens the 100 multiply by 85 over 300. Okay, just let us open up the calculator to find out the value of the fraction 85 divided by 300. It is 0.2833. So 0.2833. So when we solve this fraction 85 divided by 300, the resultant should be 0.2833, right? And here comes minus 10, minus 10 multiply by 0.2833. The answer should be minus 2.8333, right? So the answer that we have obtained is minus 2.8333. This is our required answer. Got my point? Okay. What does minus 2.8333 represent? This represents that cross price elasticity of supply or elasticity of supply with respect to price of related good like Pepsi is found to be 2.8333, which shows that if price of a related good like Pepsi increases by 1%, minus 2.8333 shows that if price of related good like Pepsi increases by 1%, then quantities supplied for second good like Coke will decrease by 2.8333%, meaning that the negative sign shows that price of Pepsi is increasing, but quantity supplied for Coke is decreasing. So negative sign is basically depicting the inverse relationship existing between price of one good and quantity supply for the second good, right? So an inverse relation which is existing between price of one good and quantity supplied for second good, this is being represented by this negative sign. Okay. And what does 2.8 represent? It shows that if price of one good, say Pepsi, is increasing by 1%, then it will decrease the quantity supply for second good like Coke by 2.8333%. Since the original answer is the original answer of cross price elasticity of supply is witnessed as negative, therefore it shows that both Pepsi and Coke are substitute goods. As I have explained earlier, that when the price for one good is increased, it is understood that supply for this good will also increase. But think about the supply for second good. Like, just imagine if Pepsi is expensive now in the market, the people who are supplying Pepsi would increase their quantity supply. But think about the suppliers of Coke. They will find incentive into Pepsi. Eventually, they would switch towards Pepsi's supply. Therefore, the number of suppliers from Coke industry would fall. Resultantly, the quantity supply of Coke will fall. So, in the end, we can establish an inverse relationship between price of Pepsi and quantity supply for Coke. This shows that Pepsi and Coke are substitutes to each other. I've just transformed this information in terms of a table. You could just see this table. Types of goods. A good is said to be substitute good if the cross price elasticity of supply of two goods is found to be negative. So see the formula. See the answer. Cross price elasticity of supply, or elasticity of supply with respect to price of related good. If it is less than zero means the answer is negative. But for the same goods, Pepsi and Coke, if I find cross price elasticity of demand, like ED, elasticity of demand, within bracket I have PR, price of related good, meaning that it is cross price elasticity of demand, and the answer is greater than zero, meaning that it should be positive. So for substitute goods, I can simply define these goods as these are such goods for which cross price elasticity of demand is always positive and cross price elasticity of supply is always negative. Hence, the two goods are called as substitute goods, and vice versa for a case of complementary goods, right? Meaning that if elasticity of demand with respect to price of related good is found to be negative, while the elasticity of supply with respect to the price of related good is found to be positive, then the two goods are said to be complementary goods, right? Okay, let me proceed further. Moreover, the answer of cross price elasticity of supply or elasticity of supply with respect to price of related good like Pepsi is found to be negative 2.8333, which is greater than unity in absolute terms but less than infinity. Let me copy the value of infinity, which is less than प्लस इन्फिनिटी. ठीक है, एब्सोल्यूट टर्म्स की बात हो रही है. In absolute terms, right? Absolute value of elasticity of supply with respect to price of related good is 2.8333. Absolute value, from absolute value we mean that we have taken modulus or we have taken mod of the negative value, and the function of the mod is to convert all the negative values into the positive values. Hence the negative value has turned to positive value. Therefore it becomes 2.8333, which is greater than plus 1, but it is less than plus infinity, right? So therefore there exists more elastic relationship between price of Pepsi and quantity supplied for Coke, right? So here comes uh, our concept regarding cross price elasticity of supply is completed. And right after completing this particular question, I'm gonna move towards a class activity. But before to go towards class activity, if you have any question related to this particular example, you could raise your hand and I'm gonna answer your questions quickly. If you have any sort of question related to this example, you could raise your hand and I'm gonna answer your questions.